Welcome back, my friends. As I mentioned in my last video, I was doing my end of the season run to gold so I could get my reward, and I mentioned that I was using a specific build to do it. Then I did a force of that build in hyper roll. But then I got some questions, one specifically from a family member, my dad, who plays TFT, and asking if I could do a more detailed breakdown of how to do that build in Ranked. So, this is that. It's Recon threats, and I'm going to try to go through as best as possible the strategy for doing this in Ranked while showing sort of how it's done. My goal on the carousel is to get a bow if possible. It's such a necessary element in this. It will fit into pretty much either of your carries who are going to be either KaiSa or Vayne, or very possibly a combination of the two of them. For KaiSa, your best items are Static Shiv, Rage Blade, Hextech Gunblade, and as you can see, if I put everything up properly, two of those items include a bow. For Vayne, I like Rage Blade, then Hand of Justice, and then a damage amplifier like Giant Slayer or Death Blade will work really well on Vayne. Again, you need a bow for the Rage Blade there, but if you're going to use a combination of the two of them, you're probably going to want to get a lot of bows in this. Typical early game setup, just try to win. For augments, something like Golden Ticket is pretty good if you happen to get it. I generally like healing augments, but Golden Ticket will allow you a lot of rerolls later on, so you can take it and that'll give you a good chance to get the 3-star Vayne or KaiSa that you may need in order to finish. There is competition for this build, but I found that if you just kind of spam through it and just keep doing it, you'll ultimately climb because you're likely going to be in the top 4 far more often than not. For carousels, my first goal is to make the Rage Blade because that is going to be the item that will work on both champions. If you can't do that, then I try to do the Static Shiv or the Hextech Gunblade. In short, I generally go for my KaiSa items before going for Vayne items, as usually I want KaiSa to be the carry. In this case, they left me with a needlessly large rod and I had a bow, so I was able to get the items for my Rage Blade. I find it best to go with a fast level strategy, so I like to be 5 coming out of the carousel. My goal is to get my 4 recons and then something tanky in front. The 4 recons are guaranteed to crit every single time, including on their casts, so they're going to do a lot of damage quickly, and you're going to be able to eat through a lot of teams, even at 5 with 1-star backliners. It's time for the second set of augments, and again, I'm looking for healing if I can get it. Celestial Blessing, no brainer, just go ahead and take it. One of the keys here also is at 3-2. I'm going to go up to 6 and then roll down and try to get Cho and Rammus. They are going to be your front line, and in some ways, you can almost stop here and just try to build up your team. The reason I don't necessarily suggest that is because you're going to get better chances for 3 costs once you get higher. I rolled down here just because, why not? I had Golden Ticket and I felt that I could get what I wanted out of it, and I'm ultimately going to be able to get my Rammus in, so I now have my threats and my back line of recons. For items on your front line, I like to put a Dragon's Claw on Cho and a Bramble Vest on Rammus if I can get it. It enhances their already natural resistances, and in Rammus's case, makes his attacks even stronger. Again, it's your backline that's really going to be doing the damage here. And there's still a lot of 1-stars back there, but look how easily they're able to handle another team. Now, I do not necessarily suggest rolling down to 0 at level 6. That's kind of a choice I made here because I had Golden Ticket. I'll usually wait for level 7 before I try something like that because I want to get at least one more frontliner in place, but again, you can see the power here. Those automatic crits kind of change everything and allow you to just keep winning. Now, the one thing that can really get in your way with this particular build is hero augments, because as you can see here, nothing fits, even though I would love to grab the Urgot augment. I'm really hoping for something that's going to fit. I love bringing Sejuani into this build. It shores up the front line, and to have the entire board get stunned, yeah, that's going to be good. It's just a matter of working her in. In this game, I originally planned to kind of switch into a fast 8 strategy where I was going to just use gold over 50 to level up, but because I got that, it was time to level up, and now I'm going to sit at 7 until I get to 50 so I can ultimately get to 8. I personally find that 8 is the best stopping point for this build because you get your 4 recons, your 2 threats, and then you can bring in Sejuani and Mordekaiser. That will also give you a little bit of laser, and it will give you ace with Mordekaiser that can help you clean up, especially late game when you're going to be facing teams that have gone up to 9 and or have gotten a bunch of 3-star champs. Now, even if you get a healing augment, I find the Hextech Gunblade on KaiSa is absolutely critical. The reason is that she's going to be getting a lot of attack speed from the Rage Blade and just from her ult, so she will be putting out a lot of healing as part of the build. In this case, as you can see, I'm using my free rolls where I can get it, and then also leveling up where I can so I can get to 8 and ultimately get Mordekaiser into the game. Now, for the sake of video length, I'm not showing all battles, just some here and there to show some points. But the main goal is now I've gotten up to 8 and I'm looking for Mordekaiser. I've brought in an Urgot for now just to kind of save the space, and thanks to Golden Ticket, I'm able to 3-star my Vayne, and I've actually picked up a few extra KaiSas. So the team is pretty much set, minus the fact that I want to get a Mordekaiser involved. But you will see that the Urgot extra CC, well, first off, we have our Sejuani CC, which is going to fill their entire board. Then the Urgot CC will add that little extra bit. KaiSa is going to be doing a lot of damage, but so is Vayne, but they're cross-healing because she's healing herself and healing Vayne, keeping the team really strong. Now, one of the things that was making this particular match a little tricky is that there was someone else running a recon-focused build. They don't have 4 though. They have 3 recons and an ace in misfortune. That's also why I keep my recons separated. As you can see, 2 on one side, 2 on the other, usually splitting up KaiSa and Vayne so that they're not going to take the full brunt of an ult like that. And here's where the healing comes into play. As you can see, my Vayne holds on and is able to win. So I want to show you this particular fight for a reason. Yes, Rage Blade, Hextech Gunblade, and Static Shiv are the best items for KaiSa, but I now have a 3-star Vayne who is going to be able to take over the match. There's one problem. Vayne's attack speed is fairly static. She is not picking up any additional attack speed as she goes. KaiSa's doing damage, but not like Vayne, and you can see in this case the lack of attack speed is going to cost her because Belveth can get in the final shot, so we're going to have to make a change. Luckily, I had a magnetic remover, although if I didn't, I could have just swapped out KaiSa's because I have a 2-star on the bench, but I decided to give Vayne that Rage Blade so that she can start attacking much faster. Now at this point, we're nearly guaranteed top 4 because it's likely some of these lower players will knock one another out, but you can see the difference Vayne having the attack speed is going to make. So when you play this comp, and I advise you to play it, be ready to make swaps like this when you have this type of opportunity, because as you can see, Vayne is going to be able to hold on and just pour out damage, especially because she's now attacking faster and destroying the damage charts. And now we're officially into the top 4. Now, since they show you who you're playing against, you can prepare in advance. In this case, I wanted to keep Vayne and KaiSa together because they didn't have a misfortune who was going to kind of board wipe you. They did have a Mordekaiser who could, but I felt we could survive it, and we did. The key is them just keeping one another healed and taking everything out. Well, I should say more that KaiSa's helping to keep Vayne healed. You can see Vayne finishes that, taking almost no damage. The carousel didn't offer much, so I grabbed a rapid fire cannon, but then I got the opportunity to pick up a Mordekaiser. I was originally going to put the rapid fire cannon onto KaiSa, but instead I can keep Mordekaiser in the second row, give Mordekaiser the rapid fire cannon, so he's now more likely to get his ult off before being taken out. He's behind a gold Cho with a ZZ Rot, so that's going to taunt things away. Now this is the team that I'm most afraid of because they're running basically the same concept as us. Strong backline, strong frontline. They're using sure shots, we're using Recon. It's a very similar strategy, and it's going to come down to just what hits where and when. In this case, they're able to get ahead of me and take us down, but not out. The third player does get knocked out, so it's now down to a 1v1. In many ways, positioning at this point doesn't matter all that much, except for the fact that I don't want to get caught up too much in their Shrouds of Stillness. They have 2 of them on the board. So I want to make sure that I'm able to get what I can. I separate out my front line a little bit so they can't just Shroud of Stillness my entire front line. I've also now got a gold Rammus, so that's going to give me a little more power. I end up separating KaiSa and Vayne, so they cannot just shroud the entire team unless they watched what I did, and I could see that they didn't. They moved everything over to kind of cover KaiSa and Vayne, but I've now left Vayne on her own in the right corner where she can just clean house. The board-wide stun from Sejuani followed by the Mord ult doesn't hurt, but you will see at the end of this, it is Vayne destroying the damage charts. Dad, I hope this helps you get up to gold this season. Everyone who watched, hope it helps you as well, and as always, have an absolutely awesome day.